Loktargar friends. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for another work mode workout. And today was dynamic effort bench day, speed bench day. Now we're set up in the exact way that they're doing it over at Westside and promoting now, at their current setup. And I'm going to run that for a while because it does seem to be working for them. I understand what they're doing with it, and so I'm going to work with it for a while. So yes, we are actually doing 50% for 5x5 with 25% band tension, and then next week it'll go to 55, then 60% of my maxes. And so since we always know roughly what our maxes are at any given time, we can base our percentages on that. And when I say 25% band tension, all of this works off of your maxes. So what I'm running right now is 50% of what the last successful bench press I tested, a legit pause bench that would have been meet legal. I'm running 50% of it, right? And then I'm going to run 25% band tension. And I've got all my bands and chains at this point. You guys are going to love what I start doing with my chains moving forward. I almost feel like I need to make a video showing the setup. I have the chains set in a way to where I can literally unload everything at the bottom other than more or less the feeder chains for both the squat and the bench with them preset, and I can run individual chains dropped onto little hooks that drop into there, and I can adjust it in 15-pound increments. So in other words, I can have 15 pounds, 30 pounds, 45 pounds, all the way up to 120 pounds of chain tension with almost nothing at the bottom and that at the lockout. Same thing with my band setups. Now I have enough bands and I've got them all measured, and I've figured out how to basically get all my band tension set to where I only have a couple of pounds of tension at the bottom, like barely any tension, and then we know within 1 pound what I have at the lockout. So I can run exact percentages now, and it's actually kind of nice because it'll let me do a lot with all of my max effort work. Like essentially I can run just alternating bands and chains. I can run 16 different lifts off of the same basic lift and bar. So I can actually have 16 accommodating bench variations or box squat variations without even swapping bars or grips. So it gives me some interesting tools to work with for the max effort and actually running very long progression and regressions on accommodating resistance. So I'm gonna have some fun with it, right? And the thing is though, we always have to know what we have at the bottom, and we always have to know our percentages, and that's the key to making this sort of system work, along with carefully selecting your accessory movements. And that's a big part of all of this, which is why we're coming over to the incline. I feel like for me, just continuing to develop my triceps and to work on, say, my incline bench is going to bring my bench up. And that means right now, look, I need to pause. Instead of saying, hey, let's lift the heaviest weight we can, well, let's get as strong as possible with the lightest weight we can and bring that weight up over time. Which means, now granted, I didn't pause on that first rep. But after that, we're going to do pause work, right? Nice medium grip so that we increase the range of motion, good pause on the chest, and then drive and explode. This is going to get me stronger off the chest. It's going to build my chest. It's forcing me to push through a longer range of motion and to just get stronger at a basic lift. This incline, I feel like if I do it every bench day for now, and maybe work on some very slow linear, very, very slow micro-loading and linear progression, and work on things like triceps to keep the strength moving along, because again, your accessories will bring up the incline, and the incline will bring up my bench. And then I can rotate through all my other stuff for the normal bench. But this is going to be a primary assistance movement for me. So I'm going to put a lot of effort into it, right? I feel like for me, based upon what's going on with my bench, getting strong on the incline due to it being weak is going to improve my bench. That and just beefing up my triceps. So that's going to be my main priorities, and everything else is just going to run off the straight max effort and dynamic effort programming on the bench. And so this is going to be the focus for now. And this is how we make it work. Going to be all about these accessories. And you guys are going to see more and more, as you guys will notice as I'm not moving around. Yes, I am slowly losing body fat, but I'm not on a cut. That's been one of those points that, a bunch of people argued. Like people who haven't been watching these came into that video and disliked and argued and told me it was impossible to recomp everything else. At my age, my experience level, not blasting gear. Yet people are going to notice as you look closely, especially once the belt comes off, I am slowly, and it's very, very slowly, I'm very slowly getting leaner. I am not on a cut. And that's the point that needs to be made clear. I have not lost a single pound of body weight this year. I have not lost a single pound of body weight since December of last year. Okay? In fact, I was gaining a little bit all the way back up through December. So I haven't lost weight, guys. I'm recomping. The training is being successful. The diet is successful. It's going to be a slow process, but I mean, that's a lot of what it comes down to. You know, a lot of people have said this stuff like, why aren't you just going to go cut? It would be good for your outreach. So I could teach people how to be stupid. You can't just fast cut without a bunch of drugs and keep your strength. It doesn't work. So why would I demonstrate something just to improve my outreach that is going to fail for my followers? That's not good for the long run. That might be good in the short term, but then I might have to admit that I did stupid shit and don't do what I did and then change my, I mean, come on. That kind of makes you frauding. So just going to be nice, slow, steady, keep my diet on point. And it is a straight keto diet, higher protein, but straight keto. And keep the training on point. And it's all about training and fatigue management. And as long as I can stimulate muscle growth and adapt and recover to it and stimulate strength and thickening the muscle fibers, we'll slowly recomposition, you know? It's fine. But the training went good today. I was happy with it. So this felt good today because, again, this is the exact workload I did again on max effort day. And what I'm going to try to do from here, because it actually felt a little better, I'm going to start micro-loading it up. Now, I went over today and I chatted with one of my regulars in here who is himself a legitimately strong bencher. And I had actually been considering skull crushers again instead of the JM presses. And he came in and talked about it. And it's like that kind of sold me on what I was leaning in the direction of doing. So pain train, I appreciate the feedback. So the work skull crushers. And now I started light on this first set and ramped up till it felt relatively heavy because I want to do about 5 by 10. And some people are going to say, why are you doing them the way you're doing them? Why aren't you going a slow eccentric? Because I don't care about a slow eccentric. I'm trying to get a stretch reflex because I need that stretch reflex for 1, muscle fiber recruitment. 2, I need that stretch reflex to improve my bench. Like we're doing triceps not just to make them bigger. I need my bench press to go up. And as you guys can see here on this getting up and down and me laying down, I've definitely lost a little bit of fat. Like I said, it's not dramatic. I'm not ripped. I mean, I still have love handles. I still have loose skin. But there is definitely recomposition happening. And it's because, again, the keto diet's on point. The training's on point. We're making progress. And so I'm just going to keep moving forward. I feel like the progress I've made in the last, say, 3 or 4 months, I feel like if I can keep replicating that, you know, by the end of the year, you know, I'll be respectably strong again and respectably lean, right? And so we just keep moving forward, guys. And that's kind of the point I want people to understand when it comes to a lot of times with strength athletes. Bulking and cutting maybe isn't the way to go, especially for people who are going to be in weight classes. Yeah. Like, leave that stuff to bodybuilders. Probably a good idea to lean bulk the best you can up to the weight class you think is going to be good, and then recomp from there, and then lean bulk again. And I think that's generally the way for powerlifters and strength athletes in general, rather than traditional bulks and cuts. And even Johnny Candido's more or less said that same thing, and I think he's right. And he is himself a legitimate champion. But I found a weight that the skull crusher started getting really challenging on. This weight here, and for those curious, that's an 18-pound bar. So let's get some transparency. My bar weighs 18 pounds. No, I've never weighed it. That is what the manufacturer said that it weighs. I'm going to assume they're being honest. Right? That's fair. I'm going to assume they're being honest with me. So, you know, people want to know what I'm using for weight. That's 50 pounds of road plate there for the greens, pair of 10s. So that's 70 pounds plus an 18-pound bar. So about 88 pounds. And no, that's not particularly strong, but I've also done a lot of other pressing first. And so again, what I'm trying to do here with this is just essentially get a full range of motion without putting too much stress on those tendons at the elbow and get a stretch reflex. So my goal is to get a stretch reflex and snap it up, right? That's what we want. That's the point, because we want to thicken up the whole tricep, and I need bench press strength, because we are doing this to get stronger at the incline and the flat bench. So that has to be remembered. Then I did my laterals. These got tough near the end. Like you guys will notice on my 5th set of 12, man, I had to take a breather for those last few reps. But that's good. That means we're at a nice challenging weight. And you guys are going to notice I'm drifting away from the higher reps. I'm going to do them for things like delts. But there's more and more data and arguments coming out about things like myofibular versus sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. And this is among some serious coaches and researchers. And so I'm almost scared of doing too much stuff that's going to be sarcoplasmic if I know I can just get good tension. So other than a few smaller exercises, things like my side delts, things like my lower back, things that we want blood flow on, I may start capping a lot of what I'm doing off at 10, right? Because I need tension. We need tension, and we do need most of our work to be down in the 1 to 5 range. And then a lot of accessory can be up as, around 6, and that's fine, 6 sets of 6. But we're still keeping a lot of tension on the muscles because tension is going to be important for, again, hypertrophy that's going to guarantee carry over to my strength and my big lifts. Because at the end of the day, yes, I want to get bigger. Yes, I want to get thicker. But what's the end goal of that is to get stronger, right? We want to get stronger, and I need to be very strong for every pound of body weight, which is why I'm doing the recomp. That's why I'm slowly leaning down on top of it, because it is going to come down to how strong am I at a given body weight. And that's where height plays a big role. And that's the whole thing with weight classes in strength sports. They are height classes. You cannot forget that. You do not, I repeat, you do not want to compete against somebody 3 inches shorter than you in the same weight class. You're going to get your ass handed to you 9 out of 10 times. So, generally speaking, you want to be as stacked. You want to be as thick as you can be for your height, and you want to be as lean as you can get away with, right? But that doesn't mean you rip down. It means that you might need to recomp down. Lean bulk and recomping. Then I went over to my strict curls. I bumped the weight up a hair today, which meant the last set I couldn't complete it. But that's fine. If we can complete multiple sets with a given weight on a assistance movement like this that we are worried about strength on, and we're right at that weight threshold to where our final set we can't finish it, or we're really, really struggling to complete our target reps, we're right about where we need to be, right? Because we're now at a challenging weight for our reps and sets. And it doesn't matter if your first set or 2 or easy, like your second set still feels pretty easy. When you get to set 4, if you're struggling in set 5, you're hitting muscle failure. Well, that's fine. I mean, that means you're right about where you need to be in terms of predicted workload, tension, all of that stuff. So that's good. Right about where I need to be. I'm going to work with this weight for just a bit. And if it stalls too much, we'll adjust it a little bit, but not the end of the world, because this isn't the only thing I'm doing for biceps. It might be a primary movement in a way, but I'm rowing every week. And at this point, I'm now doing 12 sets of those chest-supported rows. And that is some of my bicep work. And this is there just to really concentrate on it and to practice a strict curl, because I'll build a base on this. And yes, I'll dial it into where it's perfectly maybe competition legal later, just in case I choose to compete in it. But it is a contested lift. And it's a damn good bicep builder. And it comes back to the point. Bigger biceps can improve my bench press. I'm not going to leave anything off the table. I need to be doing everything that I can do to get as strong as possible. And if that means adding a little bit of bicep thickness, and that's fine, because that's not going to move your weight class up. Like, people have this idea, oh, you could gain 3 pounds of biceps. You're never going to gain 3 pounds of muscle in your biceps. Not going to happen. Anybody who's carrying 3 extra pounds in their biceps, it's oil and scar tissue. It is not muscle. Like, look at how much a 1 pound steak is. Okay. Don't worry about that. So I can afford to thicken my biceps up if it gives me a little more stretch out of the bottom of the bench. If it gives me something to compress my elbow against to get 5 more pounds out of the bottom of the bench, it's worth it, right? So I'm going to work on arms. It's fine. It's good. And hell, it'll probably make more YouTube dollars. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.